Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Scrambled Jake's Breakfast Company. You can still enjoy great food from these folks via curbside takeout. You can call them at 865-540-6199. You see the number. Then drive by Rocky Hill and pick it up. Curbside service available Friday through Sunday. Friday through Sunday, 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. So you can get it today, as a matter of fact. Great way to support Scrambled Jake's and their employees right now. All of our family of sponsors need your support. They brought you this show for 17 years. Now's the time when we can try and pay them back while still maintaining our social distancing. All right, welcome back in. Back with Bob Hodge, David Ubben. Let's get back into David's fan survey that you can find at theathletic.com. I thought this was interesting. Let's take a look here. What is Tennessee's final regular season record in 2020? So 12-game season. David, you had some people cheat and write in 15-0, but 12-game season looks about right to me. I'm actually a little surprised. If you do this in August, that number is going to be 9 and 10 wins going to be higher. Yeah. But thoughts on the responses there?
Yeah, I think it's about right. I think the one thing that I took away is not a single fan would have vote for lower than 7-5. So if you go 6-6, if you go 5-7, even if it's injuries, whatever, you're gonna have a problem.
Yeah, good point.
That's my biggest takeaway.
Well, and more people saw a 2-game improvement to 10 wins than saw a 1-game backslide to 7 wins, which I also thought was interesting. That it's very much positivity right now. And again, as I said in that last segment, so much is impacted by that bowl game. That bowl game lasts the entire offseason. If you lost to Indiana, I bet the mood is totally different.
Yeah. Actually, about the way the fans did it is about the way I would say it. Yeah, I think 8-4 is going to be your most likely place. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got a chance to get to 9-3. I really don't think you can get to 9-2, but I've been wrong before. I thought last year if they started 0-2.
Yeah, that's right. Never saw
doing what they came. So I think that's pretty realistic. But you and I both know, and we've talked about it for years, in July, it just starts going like this. You get a little bit more optimistic. And then what you're going to have, and I just touched my face on television. That was terrible. Then what you're going to have is the gut feelings. Then the gut feelings start kicking in. You've looked at it all off season, kind of looking at it in an intelligent way, but now all of a sudden, I think they can go ahead. They can go to Oklahoma and win that ball game.
That's when Josh and Jimmy and the guys on here who have the talk shows are going to hear, I just got a feeling.
Yeah.
You always hear, like, whenever somebody stands out in camps, like, oh, we got a new star. Last year it was Warren Burrell, true freshman corner who starts working his way up the depth chart. Well, it turns out once the season started, he was working his way up the depth chart because they didn't have any other really strong corners. And Burrell, props to him for getting on the field, but he was a liability early in the season. And so, yeah, the fan sentiment always seems like once camp starts and people start working out, and start watching those little 2-minute clips. Oh, he's looking great.
This one, the last one we've got here, I put it in here because it surprised me more than any other.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite player on the roster? Number 1, Henry To'oTo'o. Number 2, Trey Smith. I would have thought a guy who has played through blood clots, who turned down the NFL to return, would be number 1 on this list by a mile. It's almost cold-blooded that he's not, but I will chalk that up to he's an offensive lineman. Hard for anybody to say, oh, man, I love that offensive lineman, as opposed to a linebacker.
Perhaps. I would have guessed like 60% Trey Smith. I thought he was going to run away with it. I think, it's interesting to sort of, make that about Trey Smith, which is interesting. But the question is Henry To'oTo'o, who had no connection to Tennessee at all. He knew one player on this team when he signed, Jordan Allen. He's from California. He wasn't really that big of a factor. Like, he was going to Bama for a long time, and then late.
I think that's one of the reasons people they wanted him.
Yeah, and so then he gets here, and now all of a sudden he's played 1 season, and he's their favorite player. It's unbelievable that he is connected to the fans in this way.
I would have thought Trey Smith by a mile myself. But I have a friend. Remember when To'oTo'o came back into the Kentucky game with his knee? Hadn't he dislocated his kneecap?
He dislocated his kneecap. We learned that a few weeks later.
He won a huge number of fans because if he'd have came in holding his leg in his hand, I don't think he could have got more fans. So I think that probably played a little bit of a role in it. This is a guy that he can be hurt. By golly, he's going to keep on going, which, well, Trey Smith's done that his entire career now. But I agree with you. I would have gone Trey Smith 2 times anybody else.
Yeah, I wonder if the Trey Smith story was with a running back or a receiver or a linebacker or defense, anything other than offensive line, where most of us don't sit there and watch the game staring at the offensive line. So I just wonder if that would have made a difference if he played at any other position. But anyway, thought that was interesting. Fan survey, there were plenty more questions. You can find them at theathletic.com. All right, when we come back, Mark Pankratz joins us. This was going to be a FaceTime interview, but we couldn't get the technology to work today. So, goodness of his heart, he actually jumped in his car, ran over here, and we're going to social distance him in the corner. Mark Pankratz is next on the Sports Source.